So every now and then, why not make the opener educational in some way? And, depending on your age, this is actually very helpful. The simple idea of heat rises, cold falls. Warm up, cool down. Heat up, cool down. That's the whole idea. It's an obvious thing that not everyone realizes, and that is, cold things are heavier, so they go down. Hot things are warmer, so they go up. Like they're just heat rises, cold falls. So this principle is useful for many different things and how you utilize things. And I'll just give an example for each. So say your fridge breaks. At some point in your life, a fridge is going to break. That's just what's going to happen. Or you just have a cooler. And maybe you don't have any ice. You just have things you want. You have a bunch of cold things, but you don't have any additional ice. The cooler keeps it cold because everything's bouncing back and forth. But the things at the bottom will be the coldest. Now you might be thinking of ice. Well, ice rises in water. But that's because ice is less dense. So that's why it goes up. But we're not talking about that. Cold things are usually more dense. So, if your refrigerator were to break, like your freezer, everything in there, and then like your refrigerator, there's things in there that it's okay if it gets warm. There's things in there that if it gets warm, it's going to go bad. Like obviously, like milk is not going to go well once it's warmed up. Frozen foods or frozen meat, eventually it gets raw and then it's just going to start, spoiling, things like that. You of course want your most perishable things at the bottom and your least perishable things at the top. Because this has happened in my family twice. The fridge breaks, so what you do is, you just put the most important stuff at the bottom, and you put the least important stuff at the top. The temperature is just going down, and so the stuff at the bottom will stay coldest longest. So it's just a tip there for you, with what's going on there. Now, another thing is capturing heat. So, you take a restaurant and their heat lamps. Here's the thing. At some point, they realized if you put a hood over the heat, it spreads the heat out back. Because what it used to be was, you just got the fire, it's going up, and you got this aura of heat around it, so people are pretty warm and everything, that's good. But a lot of the heat's getting lost going up. What they realize is you put a hood over the heat, and then the heat's bouncing back off the hood back down to people. So it's a way to keep the heat going. So then, instead of it just dissipating up, it's going up and then going back and then dissipates out. So that was just a nice thing that they learned. Something else to mention real quick is, speaking of heat lamps, just to keep being more scientific, oil lamps, like they had in the streets and everything back in the day, because obviously we didn't have electricity yet. What they found was the plants near these lamps were getting, they were browning. They thought maybe it was the heat. Well, it wasn't the heat, it was from the oil. And what was the heat as well? I can't remember now. No. They thought just the heat was burning the leaves, but that's not what they're doing. What it was doing is it was aging the leaves. And I can't remember the exact chemical right now, and I'm going to look that up and tell you what it is after this opener is done. And what they found was this material is also on the surface of bananas. So if you want to ripen up fruit, you have bananas with them. Like you want to ripen something up, put a banana in a bag and put that fruit in a bag together, and it will ripen that fruit up for you. It speeds up the ripening process of plants. That's really what bananas can do. So that's why if you have like a fruit basket and you lay bananas on things, that's usually why stuff just starts ripening faster than you realize, because of what bananas can do. Now I'm going to say this incorrectly, and welcome to the vlog, by the way. At a point, if you're smart enough, that's word saying incorrectly, you should not just say the answer if you're not 100% sure. You should be like, I think it's this, but let me double check. And that's what we did here. So here's what it is. Ethylene, also now known as ethene, that is a gas. That comes out of the oil lamp. So that is on bananas. This gas is on bananas. And what this does is it breaks down the cell wall, it converts starches to sugars, it just does the development of ripening in plants. That's what it does. Slowly starches go to sugars and etc., etc. This speeds it up. And that's why, of course, you can have bananas with other fruits and it will make them ripen. If you don't want them to ripen, then pick bananas away from the other things. Keep that in mind. So, I didn't want to just say ethylene, because I think it's ethylene, but I'm not 100% sure. Let me just double check. And that's what I did. That's what I did right there. I think it's important to double check and be sure. Because the problem is, is too many times people say with absolute certainty a thing, whether they're right or wrong. And when they're wrong, you believe them anyway because they were certain. I am absolutely sure in my response. No doubt whatsoever. And you believe me. And that's what happens, and it's very frustrating. You see this in social media all the time. You can have this paragraph after paragraph after paragraph of thing of someone saying things, and they sound like they're an expert, and they're wrong. And then you can have another person just trying to correct all that, but they're just not as well worded, they're not as great grammatically, and they'll get ignored. Very unfortunate. And the truth of the matter is, with social media, with life, you don't realize a lot of people are wrong about crap despite how confident they are until they talk about the subject you know. That is the truth of the matter is. Until they get to your subject, that veneer is there. It really is. It's very unfortunate. So what's going on? Bravely Default 2 is getting recorded right now in streams, and eventually that LP will come out. We're still in Hitman 3. Basically a podcast solo. Haven't done one in a while because it's just been topics I don't want to talk about because it's just not going to go well. Dr. Seuss, that is a whole complicated mess I don't want to talk about. Because all it would be complaining. It'd be complaining about how the left is handling it and how the right is handling it, because both of them are handling it poorly in different ways. There are things to learn from Dr. Seuss. There are things to remember about Dr. Seuss and things to acknowledge, and both sides are just doing it in poor ways, in my opinion. But that would be this whole damn thing I don't want to talk about. No one wants to listen to me talk about that. No one wants to even talk about Dr. Seuss, really. I think the publishers are doing the right thing, in that, like, these are not the best representations, so sure, don't make them. There's plenty copies of them around already, and they're online, so if you want to see them, you can still see them. There's still plenty of good Seuss books. You don't just not do all of them. Seuss was a flawed man, he was not a great man, but he made good books. No one is perfect. And that is the one thing that is about all that, is just, you go into anyone's past, there's going to be something dumb. Now, it could be really bad, or it could be not so bad, but it also depends on the person, because people just keep looking at the past like, well, look at this effed up thing, look at this effed up thing. I'm like, I lived that, and yeah, it was effed up. But why are you bringing it up now? I don't understand. There are things I've said online, I'm sure, that'll come back to bite me, and I'll be like, yeah, I was dumber then, what do you want from me? I said something stupid. I talk enough, I'm going to say something dumb. Any human being talks enough, they're going to say something stupid. They're going to say something probably not great. In my anger in 2016, I said a lot of anti-Republican things that were very hurtful. All of that could come back to bite me in the ass. All of it. Lots of it. That was me feeling self-righteous. That was me feeling very angry. Everyone's got bad things. That is the thing I keep coming back to, is like, let them who without sin cast the first stone. What that means is, in that context with Jesus, he was like, look, she's a whore, you want to stone her to death, she did a sin, are any of you sinless? Why is it that it's okay for you to judge her and stone her to death? That was the whole thing with that. At least that's my interpretation of it. He was like, look, she's a whore, you guys want to stone her to death. Sure, it's a sin. But who here hasn't sinned? What makes it okay for you to judge that you should stone this woman to death? I think it's a good lesson. Like, the Good Samaritan is an interesting lesson. Like, Samaritan were people. And what happened was some guy got hurt. He got robbed. I think he got stabbed and stuff like that. And he's bleeding on the road. Some dude's going to some religious thing. He's dressed in all white. He doesn't want to help him out because, well, he doesn't want to get his clothes dirty. And just, I think it's like one other example just skips the dude. And then the Samaritan shows up and he's like, oh, damn, you're hurt, man. Let me help you out. And that gets called the Good Samaritan because he was someone who actually took the time to help someone who was in trouble. Someone who was hurt. That's where Good Samaritan comes from. I'm summarizing that quickly. You can look that up yourself to understand it better. Get the exact wording on that. The Bible's got good lessons in it. The Torah has good lessons in it. The number of Christians I wish actually read the Bible would be amazing. It's not a very small number. It's a big number of people. I doubt so many people actually read that damn book. That wasn't even what I want to talk about. I want to talk about two things. First, we'll go with the politics, get that out of the way, and then we'll go to the other thing. But, before that, right, I was talking about what's going on with the channel. Basically a podcast, that's what I was talking about, and then I got into Zeus. Next solo episode will be about WandaVision, just talking about that whole thing, because it was an interesting ride. It wasn't perfect, but I think it was good for what it was. I think it's good, not great. 7. Competent 7 in my opinion. Jinx put it out of 6. I was like, damn. I thought Jinx was enjoying it more than me. I have thoughts. I'll share them on that. That'll come out today or tomorrow. Let's get the politics out really quick. On the federal level, and then after that I'll talk about something more philosophical. On the federal level, the Republicans and Democrats, neither of them are the working class party. Neither of them are. Because the vote just happened. 42 yeses, 58 noes, 2 minimum wage. So no $15 minimum wage eventually. That was 8 Democrats and 50 Republicans. Everyone's mad at the 8 Democrats. They're not mad at the 50 Republicans. Both parties say they're the working class party now. Really? Really now? You would have done it then. If that was the fact of the matter is, Republicans and the Democrats are not for the working class. And that is frustrating. Absolutely frustrating. There are many reasons to want to be Democrat or Republican. Then you should really just see, okay, I agree with this, I agree with this, and then decide which party you're with. Or you just be on the center like I am for most things. Not really most things. I lean more to the left, but there are a couple of right things. Except the Republicans aren't even Republicans anymore. I don't even know what they are anymore. They don't represent what they said they used to represent. I don't understand. And the truth of the matter is, the more I look at it, the more I realize the Republicans aren't who they said they were. And the Democrats, the same thing for some things as well. The Republicans are all about not letting the government dictate things about your life. Republicans are about smaller federal, bigger state government, letting the states do what they want. And yet you had Trump for 4 years trying to just force the states to do whatever he wanted. And yet you, of course, have a topic like abortion. Forcing someone, the government telling someone what to do with their body. Because the more I look back at Republicans, it's just them being more, no, we just want to control people this way instead of that way. The problem with $15 minimum wage is because it's a federal thing, it is the entire country. And in some parts of the country, 15 would be amazing. That's mostly the Midwest. And in some parts of the country, 15 just helps them stay afloat way better since it's double, because they were doing 2 jobs already. Or they had multiple roommates and things like that. People who are getting paid 15 now, or 20 or so on, they're like, this undervalues my job then if they go up to 15. It's like, no. When they go up to 15, everyone else should go up as well to put value up. Because if they don't keep those jobs competitive, why wouldn't you just do fast food, right? I will never do fast food. Because, fuck all y'all. The general public sucks total ass. The amount of indignant rage that gets railed at fast food workers is ridiculous. Ridiculous. I have friends who work at Starbucks, and they just have people who just get really indignant when they get the drink wrong. Or they didn't understand the instructions that this person puts when they have, like, of instructions. I feel very basic B, but apparently they appreciate that I just want the thing on the menu. I don't know how you can say these people are important and then be like, but you don't deserve better money. I don't know how you say your grocers, when you say this to fast food workers, when you say this to just any kind of retail, all these things. People just want to buy these things from these minimum wage people, workplaces, and then they're like, but you don't deserve the money. Despite the fact you keep the wheels turning, you keep them greased. I don't understand that at all. And then there's the argument is like, well, if we give them the money, automation's going to come. He's like, automation's coming no matter what? Like, here's your future if we give 50 minimum wage. Like, no, that's their future no matter what. Automation's coming no matter what. Automation's already here. The problem is, There's two reasons why humans are always going to happen. One is people don't trust machines. That's why there's always going to be a couple workers there at the place. The other one is machines lie. I've told you this before because in water. In automation, machines are capable of lying. Not because they want to, but because they don't know they're lying. If something goes wrong in the machinery and the sensor doesn't notice it because maybe the sensor's broken as well, then, oh crap, we're screwed on that because we'll never know until more shit breaks or the bad product comes out and someone gets sick or whatever thing. That is why there's always a human there to double check the machines. You can have machines double check machines as well. Problem is if that other machine breaks, the double checker, then they're both screwed. Who watches the watchman and who watches the watchman that watch the watchman? That kind of thing. It just goes up and up and up and up. That's why you have humans. But of course, you gotta, of course, trust that the humans are doing their job. And when the humans aren't doing their jobs, bad things happen. And when bad things happen, it comes down on their head. And then, well, hopefully someone better next time. Trial and error is a problem. But it's the only way. You feel bad for the coal workers. Trump told them for 4 years he was going to save them. There's going to be clean coal and all this stuff. And coal just got destroyed even worse under Trump. He gave them false promises. They worked with those false promises, and it made their lives even more miserable. That was 4 years that federal funding could have been used to help coal workers transition to something better. Something they can do. Because the truth of the matter is, jobs get modded out no matter what. Eventually, they just become vestigial because a country has evolved. Like, we don't have a bajillion horseshoe makers anymore. We don't have a bajillion this or that makers anymore. And also, a lot of our production went to other countries like China because it's just cheaper to have it over there. America is breeding so many generations of entrepreneurs and people just hustling to do something with their life and make a profit because they need to. Because they don't have a job that's going to make them enough money that they don't have to do a second job or do make their hobby into a thing. Thankfully for me, it's not that case. Like, for a couple of years it was. At the start of the channel, that was a pressure that made things worse, was I was doing the channel because I don't have a job. And I need this to work out. And that pressure wasn't making better content. And eventually got a good job. Now I have a good job. And because of that good job, there's not that much pressure. And because there's less pressure, I'm making stuff I enjoy making. And I'm really liking the product. I really like the product we're making here. We treat this hobby like a second job because we've been doing it for so long, just because we enjoy it so much. But that's not the fact for other people. There are people working 2-3 jobs and they don't have any time to rest or have any fun, and it's very unfortunate. But I don't like boomers when they complain about it. It's like, minimum wage has been here, rent has been going here every year. Rent goes up and up and up and up and up every year, but the minimum wage stays here the whole time. Has increased in, 11 years. Boomers had a lot to do with their money. This generation and the next generations just don't have as much they can do with the money. There is no place in this country where you can just have one minimum wage job and live. You need 2 jobs, or you need roommates and things like that to be able to live. It is a different world than the boomer world. I wish they would shut the F up because of that. And I wish my boss would shut up about it too, because he thinks he's a boomer, which is really weird. He hates millennials, he's a millennial, it's confusing. I should always bring up my boss, because someday he might find this. And then he'll know I hate him. I don't hate him, I like him, we're friends. But you can be friends with people whose beliefs you're just like, what the hell, man? You can't. This is a problem with the internet. They're like, no, you only be friends with the people who believe what you believe. There is a difference, though. Of course, if you're friends with, someone who thinks that, white is right and the other races don't mean anything. Of course, obviously, that's a very big difference that you shouldn't be friends with. Not all Trump people were for the insurrection. Not all Trump people were for all these awful things. Unfortunately, they still suck because they were for Trump. Tim Allen He's like, I like Trump because he was making people angry. He's like, because he was pissing off the people I didn't like. Spite is a great motivator, but is it a great thing for politics? No. All I know is we don't get to clutch our pearls anymore about the office of the president. We just don't. We have now crossed that threshold. Biden may give it dignity for 4 years, but who knows what comes next. And I will not pretend like the sanctity of it exists anymore after Trump. After he just rubbed his ass on the whole thing. I don't want to be mean about it. So I'll stop there. Now, the actual topic I want to talk about, which we'll talk about it quickly now, so we don't go too far into it. I was thinking about the world and how we view it, and how, of course, we view ourselves as the main character, because, of course, we're living our life. But how we view ourselves as the main character of the whole story sometimes. Or just a smaller story, something like that. When we're actually an ensemble cast. We're all part of a big story. Or just make it small, just how we think we're the good guy. I'll just go with that. We think we're the good guy of the story. Nobody wants to think they're the bad guy. Rich people have therapists to help them feel better about the fact they have a bunch of money so they don't keep feeling bad. Very weird. Just bringing that up real quick. In high school, there was this guy. He would pick on me all the time. At a point, he was picking on me all the time. He did just weird, just things. Like, he would just bug me. He'd put his shoes on my legs, like we're just sitting, like I'm a table. Like, just putting his legs up kind of thing. When I remember wearing a jacket, he would just close the hood on me and just tighten the things on me and things like that. He just did really weird things to me all the time. And I just let it go because I didn't give a shit. I didn't care. I'm like, well, this is dumb, and then just undid the thing. I'm like, well, this is dumb, just push his legs off me. Whatever, I didn't care. Because I always felt like just being the bigger man about him. Like, it's just some dumb little thing. He's just being annoying, but whatever. It's like a fly buzzing around something. Like, well, the fly's annoying, but you don't need to kill the fly. And then one day he directly impacted something for me that held me back. He impacted... I was making a deal with another student, and because of him, the deal went through. Like, it didn't happen, and I got upset and I punched him in the face. I finally was tired of his bullshit, and I punched him in the face. Just right in the face. He reeled back, he left. That was at the start of the day. Not a drug deal, by the way, it wasn't that. It was just something more frivolous, but it was a deal I really wanted, and it didn't get to happen. And at the end of the day, when school's over, he comes up to me and says, "You gonna apologize?" I was like, "What? You gonna apologize?" He's like, "Yeah, man, I thought we were friends. You're not sorry you punched me in the face?" And I just looked down. I'm like, he thinks we're friends? And he just was going and asking me for an apology and just saying we're friends and things like that. And I'm just looking down, just like, my mind's blown that he thinks we're friends. And I'm just trying not to lay hands on him, because, like, he's just annoying me more. I'm like, I just want to hurt this guy. I want to do more damage now. It blew my mind. And I just remembered it just now, this morning. I was like, what the fudge was that? So I'm bringing it up. Where I think we can take ourselves to weird places when we think we're right. And it's, again, I guess, I always rail against self-righteous higher ground and all that, right? It's the same thing with people who are like, when their order is wrong, they rail into workers. They rail into workers because, like, well, you got my drink wrong, so it makes it okay for me to really be pissed at you. Because I'm the good guy here. I'm the one who was wronged here. And of course, you can also argue, like, I thought I was the good guy because I punched him in the face and all that stuff. Like, no, that's not it at all. You do a thing. Do unto others as you would like done unto you. If I'm being an asshole to somebody, I deserve repercussion. He was an asshole to me for months, and I finally had enough of his bullshit. He got a punch in the face. I want to just do nice things unto people, and they do nice things unto me. All I want. All I want. I guess I'm just bringing up a weird thing I remember from high school. I remember a lot of things from high school. Scarf was a chill boy. I had rage issues still, but I was a chill boy. I did not care what others thought of me. I did not care what others did around me. I just cared what I was doing. I remember helping out. I'm just going to tell stories real quick and then we'll stop this. I remember in high school, there was the yearbook or was this some sort of fundraising thing? I'm like, all right, okay, let's do that. So for lunch, I made myself into a human billboard. We got like a bunch of posters and stuff. I put it on myself, had my arms up, like, hey, fundraiser for whatever the thing was. I walked through campus, hey, and people made fun of me. I didn't give a shit. Like, oh, look at the dork and things like that. And they're like, I remember the goth kids said I was a tool, and I didn't care. That's not what a tool is in any way. And then, like, the cholos were like, dude, you look stupid, Holmes. I'm like, I don't care. I was like, I respect that. I remember that. They're like, dude, you look stupid. I'm like, yeah, I know. I don't care. It's like, all right, okay, we respect you. You know you look stupid. All right, you're just doing it because you want to do it. I'm like, yeah, exactly. I wonder if that'll be good enough for if I have kids. They're like, what does it matter what others think? But who knows? Peer pressure works on people differently. I didn't care. I didn't give a damn. I miss that about me back in the day. I did not care. Because I didn't have to care. Now I kind of have to care a little bit. I have to care what people think to an extent, at least for my job. And also for this channel to do well. I kind of need people to care about that, so I'm not as unfiltered as I could be. But also because unfiltered isn't exactly great either. Like, we all have stupid thoughts. We all have stupid opinions. We all say stupid things at times. We also have points when we haven't grown yet either. I remember in high school saying dumb things. I'm sure I said some racist crap that would be really bad for me to think about now. I'm like, oh, what the hell did I think that for? We hopefully evolve into better people, not worse people. Some people do get worse, or they never change, and things like that. Or we grow in different ways, and we don't grow in other ways. I think that's a better way to put it. I think socially, ethically, morally, I've become a much better person. But in other ways, I've become not as good. I think I think I've gotten worse at dating. I was really good at it, and I think I've gotten worse at it. Probably because it's the dating app age. I'm not really good at dating apps. I can flirt my balls off. I can do that, but gotta get to the point where I can do that. Also, just the norms of how you do everything is different. It feels like you can't just try to hit on somebody anymore because you're impeding on someone's space. And so, like, this is what makes dating app good is everyone there wants to be on a date, so you can go for it. Whereas, that's the truth of the matter is, yeah, hitting on someone, it might be unwelcome, and it could be like, well, shit, I'm being the jerk here because, well, they were just enjoying their day, and now I've hit on them, and now they're like, oh, well, now their day's ruined, or something like that. Some people enjoy getting hit on, some people don't. That, of course, is the luck of the draw with everything in life. Whereas a dating app, you know these people are here for dating. Just bad at profiles, I guess, and at openers, I don't know. That's enough reflection. I'm gonna make this worse if I reflect too much. All I know is the first line of my dating app eventually is gonna be like, vaccinated! And just like, huh? I said way too much stuff for a TLDR. Just listen to the whole damn thing. That is the vlog. That's the vlog. We're stopping. We're cutting off here before Jinx gets mad at me for going so long. I had fun talking. Hope you have fun watching and listening. And that's what's all about, having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.